Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 193 of Build Your Stash and Craft. Today we're going to play with melting crayons and what can we do with those different things. When I did the wax paper windows, Lisa, who's LB on YouTube, had commented that she remembered doing the stained glass windows on the wax paper with crayons when she was younger, and I had totally forgot about that. And the second that she said it, it was like, oh yeah, we used to play with these in a lot of different ways. So I thought, we're going to just go ahead and that's what we're going to do today. We've got our iron and we've got wax paper, so we've got paper, crayons, whatever we need. And so we're just going to play around with them. To start with, I thought that we would do, as Lisa had said, a stained glass window. Now I'm going to do these on smaller scales because you don't want to sit here and watch me color. So I just have taken my permanent black marker and made lines on a piece of wax paper. And then I am just going to color in each of the different sections. And then we are going to melt it, so that you don't see the lines. And like on this one, I've got texture from the book. And I have just, in order to be able to iron here, I have a book underneath a towel. And when I was doing the wax paper, someone mentioned that, maybe my towel was too soft. And so that's why I put the book underneath one layer of towel, where I just had a towel that was quite folded up on top of my my plastic tablecloth, which is lined and folded in half. So there was a lot of softness underneath there. And so I thought for these ones, I'd make sure that it was nice and solid. But I'm just going to finish. I did a couple. I guess I probably should have done a few more so you didn't have to sit here and watch me color. But we'll get through them. And it's a fun thing to do. And that's the reason I did such a small one, is because it takes a little while. But again, what's the point in crafting if it's something you're just going to sit down and it's done? What are you going to do? Just make another one? Which, yeah, of course we would. But it's nice to have something that, takes a little bit of time and keeps your mind occupied, which is one of the great parts of crafting. Is it something that can keep your mind off of whatever may be going on at the time, at least for a little while, or at least slow down your brain a little bit, because you have to kind of think about what you're doing. And that's a nice thing, especially with everything that's going on nowadays. It's nice to just have a little bit of a break. And crafting is my break. And we just have one more little piece to go here. Let's do that in orange. You want to do it fairly heavy, but you don't want to have if your crayon is putting off little extra bits, you don't really want those to go onto your other colors. So, well, maybe you would. Maybe you would want your colors to be a little spotted. There we go. But if you do get little bits on there, I just kind of flick them off onto the table and then wipe that off before I remove my tablecloth. I also don't want to leave the wax on my book. All right, so here we have a wax paper stained glass. And then this is just a piece of parchment. Parchment is non-stick paper made for baking with. Of course, we use it for crafts. I want to have 2 pieces of this. I'm going to just cut a piece. It doesn't have to be the exact same size. Just going to cut it a little bit bigger. And then I'm just going to get rid of the extra bits. We're just going to iron this. I have my iron on medium high. And if you have an ironing board, you can use that by all means. Just make sure that you protect your surface, especially if it's not an ironing board specifically for crafts. And then we are just going to put the iron on there, again at about medium high, and just give that a chance to melt. And it doesn't really take very long at all. Then, just for the heck of it, I'm going to turn it over and do it again. There we go. And so now, and you might think, well, why bother ironing it? You had the color on there, but melting it does a couple of things. It does make it so that it kind of, it makes it a little easier to glue because you don't have as much wax on there. We also now have two identical stained glass, except that I would take my black permanent marker and just go ahead, well, if I could get it open, and when I made my lines, I used a ruler. Well, actually, I just used a straight edge. I think it was the side of the crayon box. But I'm just going to freehand it this time. That's why I used a straight edge. So, and there we go. So yeah, now we have one that's a little bit lighter than the other. And even a little bit of this black went through onto here, so we could also go in and darken it up on there. But it makes it so that it's not, here it is, couldn't find my lid. It makes it so that it's not, you can't like scratch it off like you could if you just left the crayon on there. So, so it makes it less waxy. And this is still a little bit waxy on here. So I could go ahead and put that on a piece of paper and give it a little bit more of an iron. Let's try that. Whoops. You're not supposed to iron straight on it. Good thing it's a nonstick iron, and I just wiped it on my towel. There, and now it is not as waxy at all. So that makes it easier to glue, because gluing something that has crayon on it is kind of hard to do. So, and they're just really fun, and you can just see through them. It's just like, it's so cool. You could use these in just like the windows that we made the other day. You could make stained glass windows for your journaling cards. And then another fun way to play with them is to sharpen them and let the pieces fall onto a piece of wax paper. And then the other thing about it is that oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Kind of gets stuck up here. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Now that those other colors are coming out. When you decide to do it like this, think about the colors you're putting together. Because things like blue and orange, if they're right on top of each other, will make brown. So, so think about your colors. See if you're going to, think about, you don't want to make mud. Or maybe you do. And if you do, then that's totally fine. But just go through and put some, and they don't blend a lot when you're doing it like this. If you have great big chunks of crayon next to each other, they are definitely going to blend more than just these little tiny bits that I'm getting off of these. Let's do some of this turquoise because I love this turquoise. What color is it really? It's green blue. Remember in your crayon boxes there was green blue and there was blue green. And I have to say that my favorite was the green blue. The blue green was okay, but the green blue was my favorite. And so once you get some on there, and you can make it very heavily covered or not. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the ones that are on this side, kind of knock them down a little bit. Well, that's not working. Okay. And then you can take something like, you can make a card. Like a thank you card. This is just a piece of cardstock that I ripped in half and then folded in half. So, and then I just wrote on it. And I'm just going to put that right on there. And fold my wax paper over. And because of how thick this is, it's going to take a little bit more time for that heat to get all the way through and melt the crayon. Once we get the crayon partially melted, then we can turn the whole thing over where the heat is closer to the crayon. But I didn't want all of that crayon to like just settle in one spot. You can see here where we had done the other one. We'll see if that comes off on our paper. Over here, that's where those extra bits of crayon were. Those are definitely going to come off on the back of our card, but that's all right. It's the back of the card. It doesn't make that much of a difference. Okay, so now I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do it on this side for just a second. And there we go. Now see how this right here, it was a much bigger piece that had fallen there, but isn't that pretty? Much prettier than it was. And wouldn't those make really cute, they'd make really cute birthday cards, birthday invitations, wouldn't that? Because it's all, looks like it's all little confetti. So, you know, so doing that is really fun too. I have here, I have a tag that I did with it, and this one I did like in reds, yellows, and oranges, a little purple, but I tried not to put much blue in there. And then here is another, this is a stained glass window we did. This is a stained glass window I had done as my sample, along with our extra of that one and our extra of this one. And see, look at how those are both very pretty, but the one is lighter than the other. And my black didn't come off as much on this one, so I could even just leave it like that, and that almost looks like a patchwork quilt. You could go in there and just draw some little lines like stitches. That would be cute on a card for somebody who's a quilter or a sewer. And then here, this is just wax paper, and I melted the crayon, crayon shavings there. And, you know, if you were to put that on a card, isn't that pretty? And you can open them up. You can leave them folded together, or you can open them up. And they'll be a little bit lighter because now you only have one thickness instead of two. And you could put that on a card or a tag. That kind of, looking through the camera, it kind of looks like a face, 2 eyes and a nose. And a really big mustache. But you could do it like that, and that kind of looks like a little Rorschach. One of those blob things that you look at. I was trying to fold this under, but I can't fold the whole thing at once. There we go. Yeah, but see, wouldn't that be pretty on the front of a card? And again, once you iron off the wax, it makes them much easier to glue down. So that would make a really pretty card. And you could put something under it, or you could write something on top of it, or stamp on it with some stays on. I really like that. I think that's cute. I hadn't thought of that. And then here is, I just colored some brown on the wax paper on a piece of scribbled up wax paper. And I don't know, see how you can see the lines through it? On the side that I actually colored on, you can still see through it, but not as well. So you get a darker side and a lighter side. That would make a really cute tuck into into a journal or something. So those are just the different things that we can do. Let's do a scrunched up one here really quick. I thought I had a piece of scrunched paper, but I don't. But we'll just scrunch it up, and let's because here I just colored with brown on a scrunched up piece of paper, and then I folded the paper in half. I only colored on this part. This was regular wax paper, and then I ironed it together, so we got a lighter side and a darker side. But let's see. I wanted to see what the shadings look like on the scrunched up wax paper, to see if it kind of like flows into the lines, or see what it does. And you can scrunch it up as much as you want. Okay, and I'm going to... I only want half. The reason I fold the wax paper in half is because it gives me 2 halves that way. And it makes it so that I don't make a huge mess on my parchment paper, so I can use my parchment over and over. Yeah, let's do some shavings on that. Let's do blue and green. And of course, green blue. Green is one of my favorite colors, depending on what color green. Kelly green is not my favorite color. Grass green is not my favorite color. I like the brighter kind of greens. And this pencil sharpener does not do the best job at sharpening the crayons. And I'm not sure if it's partly because they've already got the point on them or what. Or I'm just not being able to press. Oh, look at what I did. Oh, remember doing that as a kid? How disappointing that was? You had to go to the teacher, to your parents, and get them to get it out of there. Let's see, let's get a needle. Maybe I need my teacher or my parents to get it out of there for me. There we go. Oh, all over the place. All right. Let's get some green in here. Now, this one does not have a point, so we'll see if this one actually... I don't think it's going to. They really are shredding at the top. They're a little too wide for this sharpener, is part of my problem. But yeah, this kind of green right here, this is green apples. I like this color green. You know, it's kind of bright, and I love the kind of like the khakis. But just not, I don't know what you'd call it. You know, even this one is not too bad because it's kind of dark, but it's not one of my favorite greens. All right, let's get this out towards the edges. I want to kind of make sure that there's quite a bit on here. Maybe I should have just done some scribbles. Get quite a bit on here so that we can see if it kind of runs into those cracks. All right, we'll call that good. And let's see what this does for us. This one I'm going to have to empty over here. All right. Hold it down for a second and get that off of there. I can always wash the towel, but I don't want to make a mess of, although with this iron, I'm pretty sure that it will wipe off because it has the non-stick surface. And I bought this just for crafting, so I don't have to worry about it. Although it really wouldn't matter because I never iron anything when it comes to clothes. I don't iron anything anyways. I buy things that don't need to be ironed. I have never enjoyed that. When I worked, I used to have to sometimes iron my dress pants or my dress shirts. Or sometimes I just take them to the cleaners and have them pressed. Alrighty, let's see what we've got here. I love the colors. And it did kind of go into those cracks, looking at the differences between this one and this one. Not as, you know, I mean, they still melted here, but here we got a little more going into the cracks. And so there we go. We now have two sides, and it's very pretty. And when you put it on a white background like that, it just really looks nice. And there's that side. So I'm sure that there are a million more things you can do with it. I wonder if we wrote on something. Let me see, do I have a piece of, here's a piece of cardstock. Let's write something on here and let's see how much it draws it out. Like whether it will still be readable. Okay, I'll do it a couple different ways to maybe if in the cursive it might maybe being spread out might not melt as much, might not run together as much, and maybe it won't run together at all. You know what? I heard they don't teach kids cursive writing in school anymore, which you guys have all probably heard anyways. I heard it a while back, but I couldn't believe it. It's like, how are they going to read any kind of old letters if you don't know how to write it? Can you read it? I don't think so. When I was younger and I could read before I learned cursive, I couldn't read cursive writing. Hopefully they'll teach it like as an extracurricular activity or something. Alrighty, so it melted the crayon away. So if you want to do something in crayon, but you don't want that wax on there that could smear or will make it so that you can't write on top of it or glue on it, let's do that too. Let's see. I'm going to see if this pen, well, the pen's not wanting to work anyways, and the paper's hot. Right, let me get the pen started. Okay, so the pen writes across it. It does not skip when it hits the crayon part versus well, even on there, it still writes on top of the crayon. But here, it doesn't feel like it's, you know, going to, and then here, you know, see how this smears. And this does not smear because we've melted it right into the paper. So, just some fun things to do. Get some crayons because they're just really fun. And I love the way that these turn out. I'm going to have to think of more things to do with them. I'm going to be putting them in some of my projects. Oh, did I cut that big square? I did. I wanted to make a card out. Well, I can still go get another one because I want to make a card out of this one. But there we go. I hope that you had fun watching this today. I really had fun playing with it. And if you try it, I hope that you have a good time making your own. Thank you very much for stopping by. Thank you. I really do appreciate you all. And I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye. I forgot it again. What we need for next week. We are going to need one of these ice cube trays. I like the little circle ones the best because of the way that they sit all in a row like this. But these are just like, this is just like the ice cube trays that we got to make our little plaster molds. They have to be the type that has this soft, squishy bottom on it like this, the kind that you can pop things out of. So we're going to need an ice cube tray like this. This came from the Dollar Tree. Actually, this is the one that I had to make our cabochons in. because I'm not going out shopping right now. So anyways, but we're going to need an ice cube tray like this with the little soft squishies in it, preferably like this, and then some cardboard. That's what we're going to need for next week. So we're going to spend $1 for next week. And now, thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate you, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.